let's just talk a little bit about associative features, and then we'll take a pause, and then we'll go over to dissociative amnesia. So again, the one thing I will say is that anyone with dissociative identity disorder or multiple personality disorder, as the diagnosis was years ago, the commonality of severe, significant trauma, usually in childhood, being pretty much common, or very much a common denominator, at least in my own experience. Flashbacks, other PTSD-like symptoms can be a common occurrence, or common among the diagnosis, common in those with the diagnosis. I guess sort of in a way that is, and when we talk about the dissociative fugue, where someone says, I think my other personality got me in trouble, or got us in trouble, and now we're in police custody, as an example. A person might also report, again, using just the same example, well, they may report what sounds like flashbacks, like they sort of have almost like they had some amount of flashbacks or dream state of what the other personality did while that personality was prominent, especially if it's something that ends up causing distress to that current personality that you're talking to, such as getting in trouble legally, or getting put in police custody, or ending up in a sexual situation that they weren't aware of, that that they can kind of report those, describe those and like a flashback. Yeah, typically report multiple sites of interpersonal treatment. I mean, for sure. Usually, again, in my own limited experience, I certainly haven't made a career of working in this area, although I've worked with a lot of trauma, not necessarily dissociative identity disorder. But certainly for those that I've worked with in dissociative identity disorder, multiple personality, childhood sexual abuse is a almost unanimous report, simply meaning that anyone that I've ever worked with, I can't think of a person that I worked with, and it's not a huge sample size for sure, but I can't think of any individual that I ever spent some time with clinically that carried the diagnosis that didn't report sexual abuse as a child, and maybe carried on into adulthood too, or reoccurred in different contexts in adulthood. So that's for sure. I mean, I definitely can speak to that. Yeah, and likewise, self-harm, self-mutilation, suicide attempts, or at least certainly suicide gestures or suicide behaviors, where there's the suicide attempt is more along the lines of, well, I'm doing something extremely risky and dangerous, and if I die doing it, then so be it. Versus, clear, purposeful intent to suicide. So definitely seeing that. The authors specifically say that 70% of individuals who have the diagnosis of dissociative identity disorder have at some point attempted suicide. Okay, so that is dissociative identity disorder. I know the description of the symptoms can, like I said, can be somewhat abstract and maybe a little bit challenging to get your head around. So try to quantify it a little bit, and hopefully you find that helpful for yourself.